The Ninja Speedi rapid cooker and air fryer. It's one of the hottest items on the market right now, if you ask me, and that's because it will steam and air fry at the same time, or just air fry, or just steam, or a combination of whatever method you want. But tonight we're going to use it to do one of its Speedi Meal Builders. It's got a thing that you go on, and it's got a recipe book, and it's got instructions, but you can also go online and build your meal. It's called the Speedi Meal Builder, and I've used it. In fact, we're going to use it right now. I've already done it on this recipe, and it worked fairly well. I got a couple of changes. We're going to do pasta Pomodoro, and I'm going to add chicken because it's perfect for this. I love this recipe just by itself, you know, especially on like a hot summer night because it's really light. It's just tomatoes and pasta, and we're going to add chicken to the top of it, and that's because, like I said, I can cook the pasta Pomodoro in the bottom and the chicken on the top. It does it really quick, and it does it really good, as you're about to see. Let's start it. All right, so here's everything you need. I've got 2 chicken breasts. I've got some penne pasta, and you're going to see all of it because I'm going to walk us through the meal builder. And I'll say this, I've already done it once, and I have a lot of it on video, and I'll show you how it turned out the first time I ever did it, and all I did was this right here. You just take your phone, and you turn on your camera, and then you point it at that QR code, and then you see that right there will come up, you touch it. And it takes you to, and it might take it a second because my network's not the fastest thing there's ever been. It takes you to build your own Speedi meal. And this is maybe the neatest thing about it. Well, it's one of the neat things about it. You click build your meal. And again, mine's slow. Then here you go. This is what you do. Now, I'm going to show you a lot of this better at the end, but I can tell you there's 2 ways to get to that if you can't get it to scan, because sometimes that's a problem. But we're going to build it right now in front of you, right here. We're going to pick plain pasta, because that's what I'm using. Like I said, I've got a penne ricotta. And then we're going to go down to our protein. We're going to use skinless chicken breast. And there it is right there. Did it click? Nope. Because when you click it, you'll see you get the check marks down here. And then you go to pick your seasoning. Well, I'm going to use Italian seasoning, and I'm going to use some lemon, fresh citrus, and I think that's all. And then anyhow, you see I got, well, you can't, yeah, you can see it now. Got another check. Pick your vegetable, and mine is going to be tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. So you click that, and this is kind of common sense, and probably don't need to know it all, but I'm showing you now. And then I'm going to also use fresh herbs. I'll show you that in a minute. That's kind of a overkill a little bit, but it makes it a beautiful recipe and makes it really good. And then we're going to use cheese. There's the cheese. So I'm going to click the cheese. Now all of our check marks are checked. Generate my recipe. You just touch that right there, and there it is. So I'm going to kind of get my act together, and we'll come back, and I'll show you the steps, and I'll show you what I changed, because you're going to see in a minute what it recommends, and I'll tell you what I'm doing different in this recipe. Be back. Okay, so here is the recipe we built, and you can see what it says right there. But here's our instructions. Now, some of this I kind of just blow off, and that's like this recipe is 34 servings, reduced servings for 1 to 2, but you know what? It reheats excellent. That's what I did with that first one, and all I did was put it in here and put some steam on it the next day. It worked perfect. Just make it as it's called. That's just my opinion. All right, then it says start by adding plain pasta, and it says 1 cup to the bottom of the unit. Well, now, what I found was, like I said, I used 2 breasts the first time. Well, that was too much chicken to me for trying to keep it light as I do, so I'm going to double that to 2 cups. But now it also has a lot to do with, you know, how big the chicken breasts are. And I mean, if you know, like I do, chicken breasts can be anywhere from, well, they can be a lot of different sizes. I'll leave it at that. All right, then it says add 3 cups of water or stock and 2 tablespoons of oil or butter. Well, I'm going to use butter, this right here. I use unsalted, but if I had salted, I would. I just, normally when I'm cooking now, I use unsalted butter. Don't really have a good reason. It's just what I do. But here is what I would say. Water or stock. There is no way I would use stock myself. in this recipe because I'm cooking chicken over it. It's going to make stock, real stock, not something out of a can or a box. It's going to make real chicken stock. And I'm kind of partial to that. I think that's one of the great benefits of doing it this way. And many recipes, not just this one, but I'll hush. Then it says, all right, mixed cherry tomatoes, 1 cup. I'm also going to, I may not double them, but I'll go to 1.5 cups of cherry tomatoes. Here's the ones I'm using. I've used several different kinds, but over the years, a bunch of different kinds. They all work well. I like cherry tomatoes over anything else. They work great. They taste good all year round. I'll put it like that. Alternatively, vegetable can be cooked to tender in a foil packet placed on a crisper tray with the skinless chicken breast. No, that's not what I did, and you'll see in a minute. It cooks really well in that water and the butter and the chicken, the drippings off this chicken with the pasta. And then I'm going to read it, or I'll tell you what, I'll let you read it, because I don't use any of these little things that are in a triangle. I didn't on this recipe, and I don't care about crispy results on my vegetables. They're going to be in the water. All right, then season the chicken breast with Italian season and fresh citrus. Well, I don't put the season, I put the season on now, but I don't put the citrus, and you'll see that in a minute. But I'm going to stop right there and get the pasta, which I'm using Rails. I love it. And I've got a video on their sauce, man. They are the best thing I've ever messed with. They just really are. Anyhow, I'm going to get that in here, get the water in there, the 3 cups of water, the cherry tomatoes, and I'll be back. Okay, so I thought about it. It's really important to how much chicken, because you'll see it cooks this stuff in a hurry. It's not called the Ninja Slowy. It's called the Speedi for a reason. So once that air fryer comes on, you got to be watching your chicken. So to give you an idea of what I'm doing, so you kind of can follow a little bit along, of course, with your instant read thermometer, I have tiered this dish, which is just like that one. So that means we are cooking right at 12 ounces, well, 11.5 ounces of chicken. So just figure 2 6-ounce breasts and you'll be close enough. Now there is about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of those cut in half. And then that's about, I honestly ended up with about 2 cups. So here is 2 cups of my pasta. It's going in. There is about 3 tablespoons. I upped the butter. It called for 2. I went to about 3. Find my towel. And then here is my about 3¼ cups of water. And now, and I got to make sure everything still looks good on the camera. Now my tomatoes go in. I may stir that a little bit. I may have to find something to do that with, and I will. But then we're going to put this right here on. Okay, I went ahead and picked the camera up a little bit so you can see in there a little bit. But there you go. There is the water, the pasta, the butter, obvious, everything, the tomatoes. And then, of course, on here, you have to flip these legs out like that and kind of lock them. Now, sometimes they don't lock just perfect. That's the only thing. If I'm worried about anything on this unit, you have to be careful, because if they flop down, you might not notice it, but they have to sit on these ledges. But I haven't had a problem yet. You just need to watch it. I'll leave it at that. Everything looks like it's ready here. Oh yeah, I was going to show this. I got this at Costco, and it grinds real slow, and I forgot to do that anyhow. So I kind of put the cap on there and just grind it, and then I'm going to add that to there. And I might even put a few shakes of this, which I'll explain also right quick. I got this at Costco. I'm not putting a lot, because this right here is what makes it pretty. That and this basil. And I've got some fresh mozzarella pearls. But that right there is something I started using. It's got a little sugar in it. And it seems to me, it works well with the tomatoes. Now, I haven't used it a lot, but it kind of takes away some of that acid on the tomatoes. And I just started using that since I've started this recipe. So that's why that went in. But any Italian seasoning, if you want, you don't even have to put anything but salt and pepper, or nothing. But anyhow, we're going to set this in just like that. I am going to spray that tray just to be sure with my avocado oil. Oh, by the way, those breasts are sprayed. This thing, sometimes it does all right, and sometimes it don't. But what we're gonna do is kind of spread it around by hand, but you can see I got it where I didn't want it. It seemed to do a lot better than that for a while. I may have it on stream, and I think I do. But anyhow, it's not a big deal. It's nothing that's gonna deal breaker here. You just kind of gotta smear it around by hand. Then I'm going to set those breasts right there, kind of away from each other. But again, I'm gonna tell you something. Again, I'll say it. It's not the Slowy, it's the Speedi. And when that air fryer comes on, I'm promising you, you better be ready to be checking temps. And I mean, you know, within reason, because what the recipe calls for is $3.90. Well, we'll close it. It's already at rapid cook. I'm gonna turn it on. It's already on Speedi Meals, and I may have to move the camera again. I'm going to, whether I should or not. So y'all just bear with me. I'm telling you, this is worth knowing, and it's worth spending a little time on. This device, I think it's going to change some kitchens. But anyhow, we're on the Speedi Meals, which is what it calls for. And I may have to find my phone. Here it is. And here's what it says. It says, season the skinless chicken breast. I have to get on this side of the phone. It's the only way I can, on the side of the camera, because it's the only way I can run my phone. Italian seasoned fresh citrus. Now, like I said, I don't put the citrus on till the end. And then it says something about marinating. I just don't do that part. Place skinless chicken breast on a crisper tray in elevated position and close the lid, which is what I've done. Close the lid, flip the smart switch to rapid cooker. It's already there. Select Speedi Meals, set temp to 390 and set time for 10 to 15 minutes. Press start stop to begin cooking. The unit will steam approximately 10 minutes before crisping. And then you top it off with your fresh herbs and cheese, and then it says it's got some recommendation. I don't know if I've ever even read that, but suggested heights and weights, which they may be talking about I'm not sure, but I think they're talking about the chicken. And they're right about that now. If you change the weight of the chicken, it's going to change the time. But anyhow, we'll get off of that. Speedi Meals, we're at 390. The time is at 20, so we're going to take it to 15 because that's what it said, 10 to 15. But I feel positive we're not going to need it. But because you can check this thing so easy by doing that right there, as long as you don't leave and you kind of, once it starts air frying, you can watch it. It's 11:33. I don't know if you can see that clock. I'll put it over there where you can. We'll see what this ends up at. And I think you're going to be impressed. I have been so far. All right, so one thing I didn't mention, and I was going to in the opening of it, and I decided not to, but it's this right here. I get a lot of questions about the thermometer because the one lid has a thermometer. Everybody says, well, this doesn't have one. Well, you know what? It doesn't need one. You saw how easy it is to open. There it comes on. As a matter of fact, we'll look at that at 11:44. So that it was 11 minutes of steam before the air fryer came on. So I got to start checking temps. But here's my point. This right here, I did a test on it last night, and I'll put that at the end of the video where it works perfect for a thermometer. You don't really need one of these with a thermometer. And this handled the steam I had in it last night. Now, I'm not saying that it's good for it. I'm not even sure it will work for a long time, but it worked last night. And I laid one out in the tray, and I had this stuck in a piece of bread, which also brings up one more thing. The bread rose while it was cooking and got on the element. So I cleaned that element last night too, and you can see that at the end. But here's my point. Now the one lid's different because it'll do pressure cooking with a thermometer. Well, you couldn't do that with this by no means. But this is Bluetooth. It connects to my phone, and I can know what's going on from my phone. It's a really neat device, and there's plenty of them on the market. This is called the iGrill. I think Weber owns them now, so not affiliated, like always, with nobody you see here, or at this point I'm not. And that was an iGrill, but it's made by Weber now, so you can look that up if you want that one. But there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them that make this kind of thing that you can run that wire through that lid, no problem. Okay, so I raised the camera back up, and I know it's not going to be done in 5 minutes, but I do want to look, and we'll even check a temp. Let's just see what we got. And you can see it's coming up really quick. It's already 128. That's my point. It steams it so long, and then when it hits it with that air fryer, it just gets it done in a hurry. We're coming up on the 10-minute mark. The chicken looks excellent. Let's see. And it really doesn't matter how it looks because you're going to cut it up and put it in pasta, and you'll know it's there. Oh, we're probably, let me make sure. We're going over right there, but I saw a number 161, there's 161, there's 160. But you know what? That's good. It'll carry from there, or I trust it to. So I'm taking that chicken out. I'm gonna lay it right here. Not even sure you can see it on the camera anymore. Well, I can move it back a little bit and you can. Now the thing we gotta do is take a look at the pasta. Now I tried to do it with this not long ago and it didn't do so well. So what we're gonna do, I'm going to lift that out and see what we got. I don't want to drop that in cold water, so I gotta fidget with that. And well, let's just see. That looks excellent, does it not? Yeah, it does. And I promise you it is. Now we just got to see if it's al dente. So we're going to stir it up a little bit. I'm going to pull one out. Now that water may kind of, I don't know, it might make you think there's too much water. No, that's how I boil pasta. I never, you know, we're going to take that out in a minute and pour it in one of those colanders. So we are done. So that pasta's perfect. The chicken's perfect. I'm going to get my gloves on. I'm going to pour that pasta and those tomatoes over, and that, I promise you, as you can probably tell by looking, that is some excellent pasta pomodoro, all done in, what, 10 minutes? Well, whatever time it comes, if you add up from that clock over there, I'll make sure you can see it, 11:56. So I'm gonna cut this off and get it in one of those colanders and be back. All right, here it is. Here's my pasta water. I still have it if I need it. Look at that. I mean, find me a restaurant that can touch that, or I know they're not going to beat it. They might get close. This right here, and this is for just prettiness. If you're trying to impress people, I'm going to put a little bit on there now, and I may add some in a minute because we got a lot to do. I've got cheeses I'm going to put on there, but I just want to give you an idea of what it does when you add it. It's worth the, I think, $3 or $4. It's worth it if you're trying to impress somebody. I don't know how much it does to everything else. I could eat it without it, and then this right here, another. That was $1.98, and I'll use a little bit of it. These pearls, I'm going to add them in a minute. I kind of got to get my act together because I want to be able to cover this because I want it all to melt well. I'm telling you all this because it means something. It does. Now, if you like salt, Pecorino Romano, otherwise Parmesan, but this is a sheep's milk cheese, and it's very salty. But I love this stuff, especially on this. This is my... It's been one of my go-tos for years. Now, I do it with spaghetti and other stuff, and there's other types of pasta, but I'll get off of that. I'm going to get a lid, like I said, and I'll be back. Okay, so right quick, I do want to try and show you how al dente this pasta is, and it is absolutely perfect. I'm not sure you can tell by looking at that, but it's as perfect as it gets. And anyhow, I'm going to get the rest of this going. I just wanted to show you that before I forget. So, be back. Okay, so here's kind of what I have in mind. And I mean, it's to everybody's liking, but whatever you like. These pearls, I love these pearls for pizzas and everything. They just work well. I kind of pinch them in half here, and I keep them separated a little bit. It's you know, I don't know why I'm saying it. I love mozzarella cheese. It works good on this recipe, and I'm about to add a little more of that this, and I'm also going to grind some of that cheese. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do it as I got to make that thumbnail picture, so I'm going to get that into a bowl, and I'm going to shake some of this on there, and then I'm going to do that a little bit better, and get that picture made, and this will be over. I'll be back. But you see what it makes. I mean, you know what that is. If you love pasta, you'll love that. Okay, so for the chicken, you can already see the juices are running out. I'm going to cut 1 1/2 right here. And you can see well, you can tell it's plenty juicy, both of them. And I don't know, there's not much I would ask for that. If a restaurant would do that for me every time, I would not have a complaint. I'm just going to dice this up. I'm not going to bore you the whole thing because I'm going to do something like that right there. And then this. And I'm not even sure I will use all of this chicken in this recipe, but I'll use one of them for sure, and probably a little more than one. But anyhow, like I said, I'm not going to bore you with it. I'm doing the same thing all the way through. All right, here is the finished product. And I'm telling you, I don't think there's a restaurant out there that will, you know, they might get close, but they're not going to beat that. The al dente pasta is perfect. The Speedi did it excellent. The tomatoes look good. The chicken was $1.65. I've never got a restaurant to serve me $1.65 chicken. It's always dried and chewy. But anyhow, you see it. It's excellent. I've already tasted it. I put a little bit of this Meyer's lemon juice on it, and I do like that now. It's just something I've been doing. It's, any lemon will do, but that Meyer's has got a little different flavor, and I've just been using it. But I will say, this is a very impressive unit for that type stuff. This might be the perfect recipe for it, but there's a lot of them. Now, I mentioned this in the middle of the video. I may take it out. I may just mention it now, but a lot of people ask me about thermometers. They say, well, why, you know, like the one lid has a thermometer and this doesn't or something. Well, it doesn't need one. I'm telling you, you can use it right here and do what I did this whole video, this right here. But if you want to use a thermometer, you can. I've got a video that I'm going to post at the end of this as soon as I get finished talking. And it will be this device right here, which is called iGrill. I think Weber, I'm not even positive. I think Weber bought them. I'm not affiliated with anything you see on my channel and this either. But anyhow, this particular one has 4 things. So you could put, like I do in that video, you'll see it. I lay one on the deck and I put one in some bread, which brings up another thing. The bread rose up and touched my element and it burnt and got on it. So I cleaned it, and you'll see how easy it cleaned for something like that. I mean, there's other ways to clean it, but it worked real well after that bread. I kind of tattooed it with that element. But anyhow, that right there will work for a thermometer, even though so will the instant read when you raise the lid. So I've kind of made this a long video, but take my word, it's worth it. This is good, and you'll love it if you try it. Well, I said I was going to explain this better. And there is the code. There's another one here, but if you can't get those to scan, if you notice right there, it says it says make thousands of recipes, and then it says ninjaspeedi.com/Speedi Meal Builder. If you'll type that into Google or into your browser's URL up at the top, it will take you to there. Now, the thing I did wrong, because I couldn't figure that out to begin with, I kept going Ninja Kitchen and then trying to do Speedi Meal Builder. No, it's Ninja Test Kitchen. So just keep that in mind. And if you can't get that QR to scan or whatever, or maybe if you throw the box away, I guess, you know, ninjatestkitchen.com/Speedi Meal Builder. And let me say something too. That's a digital service, so they can, if they want to, if they've got errors, they'll be able to change it. Just like where if they wanted to change that to 2 cups, not saying they will. I'm not affiliated. They do know who I am, I guess, but they don't pay me, and I don't ask for pay. They tried to pay me, and I didn't accept it. I'm going to get off of that. The thing is, it works. It works really well. You just saw how well it worked. Now you may have to fidget it a little bit, but I'm impressed with it, so I'll hush. Okay, so here's what I'm doing now. This is what's inside there is a total test, just to see what it does, and it might be fine. And it's going to flash. It doesn't do that here. This is the iGrill 2. It's made by Weber now, but I have 2 thermometers inside the Ninja Speedi. One of them sitting just on the deck, reading. That's the one you're seeing right here. That's 209. And I don't know how long I've had it running. 5 minutes. That's not what this is about. And then this one is actually in the dough, because what I have in there is this right here. I've got a Wapam Italian whatever you got, baguette, yeah, but it's, well, this right here, French bread. And I love them, man. I love them. And I wanted to see how they do steam, so I'm doing a steam and crisp. But really, the point here is to see how this thermometer does inside there, so you don't have to have, have asked about, it doesn't have a thermometer, they're coming out with one. I don't know, none of that. I'm not affiliated, I have no idea. But that right there works so far. Now, I don't know it's going to stay working because it's in steam. It might destroy that probe. We'll know in a minute. And since we're on the subject, this is my favorite. That's the meter. It's wireless. But there's no way I'm going to put this in steam. I'm just not. And also, well, it might do fine. I don't know. I'd have to ask that manufacturer. Maybe they'll post it on this video, whether this would stand steam. I don't think it will. And I doubt very seriously. But maybe they'll post it. We'll see. Okay, and if you were wondering, just for the record, 210 degrees, water boil. Well, you can't read that. I'm sorry. Right now it reads 209. I realize it's flashing. That's because of the frames per second stuff going on. Right now it's reading 209 degrees, and that's in the steam. Now the air frying part has not came on, but water, boils at 212. So that tells you that this is pretty accurate, and it always has been. I've heard people talk bad about thermometers. Man, I've got videos, every one of them I've ever had, I test. And I've never had one, well, that's coming to mind, that's been off very far. But, I'm just saying it because, don't get discounted, don't discredit them or get down on them. Just try them yourself. That's the point. But 209, water boils at 212. That's what makes steam. Now you know. Okay, so this is a test, and I haven't even opened it with this thing in there. I wanted to see how it would do on a steam and bake. We're still 208, 209, but here's what it looks like. There, it's already swollen pretty big in my Fat Daddy-O pan, which is the only one that will fit in this device. And I think, well, I have to get it out. I think it's an 82, they call it, which is 8 inches diameter and 2 inches height. And my Ninja pan that I have, and maybe you do too, it will not fit, or this won't close. But that Fat Daddy-O 82, and I'm going to try and remember to check that, will work. Okay, so it did just kick on. I had it set for 28 minutes. I've got it set for 330 degrees on the air fry, and it's frames per second doesn't seem to be as bad as my iGrill, but we're still at 209 on my external thermometer, and we're watching, honestly, or what I'm watching for is what I do on all bread. Now, like I said, a lot of people are kind of down on thermometers, but bread's done at 200 degrees. You don't have to wonder. There's a lot of advantages to them. Not only keeping from getting sick from eating something that's not done, or overcooking something crazy. Look at there, though. I'm not sure I don't need to open this lid. Let's do. I'm not sure it's not on fire. Yeah, it's touching. It got up there and touched my element, so I'm stopping this cook. It's done. Right, we're going to learn again. It's only been a few seconds. I want to see how well the element cleans up, because you can see, well, you can't for the steam, but you can see how the element is. So I got to clean it because I did that. But it's because I'm learning. Okay, so I'm eating some of the bread. It's not bad. It's a little doughy. I switched it over to broil to burn that off of that unit. I may have to take my smoke alarm outside, but to get it off that element, I hope. But we'll know in a minute. Oh, you can see it's been like a minute and a half at broil, and the smoke is, well, not completely stopped, but close. And it's still on there, but hopefully it's going to brush off. I'm going to let it run. Then maybe I'll do steam if I need to be. Bread's not bad. Okay, very impressive. There's what it did, and I haven't touched it at all. It just kind of came off. Now, I got a feeling that's going to be hot, but I'm going to see. See there? It just peeled. Now it's kind of stupid. I'm not suggesting you do that. it just knocks off. I could have used a knife or something, but I used my fingernail, and that would hurt you if you tried it any other way. Okay, so I got so carried away with cleaning my element from where I burnt the bread on it that I forgot to tell you whether this made it or not. Well, I don't know if you can read that, and it is flickering. I get it. It's 76. That's what I'm seeing right here. It just went to 75. All right, now that is both the elements. One was in the bread and one was in the steam itself. I'm going to click it over to the other one. You'll see the red dot change of there. It's 77. So we got 76, and it just clicked to 76. So if you ask me, they pass with flying colors. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not even saying it won't destroy them. Maybe in 10 minutes, these things quit working. But they worked right then. And you can buy these, by the way, if you do destroy yours, separately. You can buy these right here by themselves, $20 or so. But anyhow, that will work, if you ask me, in the Ninja Speedi, where instead of having, well, like I said, people ask about thermometers. Well, there you go. There's a thermometer. All right, so this video's ran pretty long anyhow, so I decided what's a few more minutes. And here is something I've recently found that works real well, and it is easy foil 8x8 cake pans. But they work excellent in this device for like leftovers or, whatever you want to put in them. Now this particular one, I'll show you what I did with it. I kind of forced it down in here, and it will fit right there in case you got it piled up or something, I guess. But if you don't have it piled up, if you just got, like it would have worked perfect with my pasta that I just did. But say you don't have it piled up, you just put, and you have this on there, which is the way I use it a lot, not always. But anyhow, what you would do is this. You take whatever's in here, and of course you take that paper out of there. I know I don't have to say that, but you can see that closes fine, just like that. And then you steam it, and steaming reheats. If you try it, and you may already know, but if you try it, you'll see what I mean. It reheats most things better than anything I've ever used, and I mean that honestly. Now, I said in the video earlier that I had a Fat Daddy-O 82, and it is an 82. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it's actually a PRD 82. And I love these Fat Daddy-O pans. I'm not affiliated. Anyhow, they're thick and heavy. They work well, and it will go in there and close. Now, the reason I've said the other one, the Ninja one, I love it too. It's a heavy pan. It works great, but and I didn't mention this part, that's what I'm telling you more. With the crisper pan in the upper position, you just can't use it. But you can this. But I don't know what I'd do with it. I know I would steam with it. I'm not sure I'd try an air fry with it, but they're just really close to that element. So, you kind of use your own judgment on that type stuff. But these right here work great for leftovers, and you can throw them in the garbage or whatever when you're done with them. So I think I'm about to end this video, believe it or not. Hey, I love y'all. I done said it once, but I really mean it. And thanks for watching, especially if you hung out this long. And y'all come back to see me. Bye.